And what if your prostate's greatest adversary wasn't some rare disease, an unfamiliar virus, or even a factor beyond your command, but rather something you place into your mouth every single day without a second thought? Most men remain fixated on their PSA count, filled with anxiety as they await test results. They utterly disregard, however, what unfolds within their bodies during the 24 hours preceding that doctor's visit. And it is precisely there that the true peril resides. A hormone moves discreetly through your bloodstream right now. It literally dictates whether your body will age with vitality or become fertile ground for aberrant cells to proliferate unchecked. This hormone is called insulin, and it's being repeatedly triggered throughout your day by choices you scarcely realize are detrimental. The morning baguette, that packaged juice, the spoonful of sugar in your coffee. Have you encountered any of these today? Most men do. And no one is alerting them to the repercussions. Stay with me until the very end, because what you're about to uncover could entirely reshape your perspective on both your diet and your overall health. And speaking of decisions that truly make a difference, there's a particular one that unfolds in your kitchen every single day, and scarcely anyone scrutinizes it. It's an item found lining the shelves of virtually all grocery stores across Brazil, packaged with a healthy facade, offered at an accessible price point, and which most households utilize without a second thought. I am referring to refined vegetable oils, soy, canola, and corn. The hidden reality concerning these oils is that they are laden with omega-6 in quantities far exceeding what the human body was designed to process. And when omega-6 becomes abundant, it doesn't merely destabilize the system. It ignites a slow, smoldering fire deep within you. This fire has a name: systemic chronic inflammation. And it's here that the impact extends beyond what most people conceive. This inflammation acts as a natural suppressor of testosterone. It jeopardizes the production of nitric oxide, that crucial molecule for vascular health and masculine performance. What commences as a simple act of frying at lunch ultimately becomes a component of a quiet progression of hormonal decline. And the prostate gland lies at the very center of this process. This is no exaggeration. It's pure biochemistry. This is what unfolds behind the scenes of your physiology while you believe you're making neutral choices. Now, I aim to delve even further into this topic, for another hidden antagonist exists, and this one assuredly will astonish you far more. And speaking of insights that thoroughly shift the perspective for those actively pursuing a health-conscious path, there's a detail to share that the food industry undoubtedly prefers you remain unaware of. A group of substances exists, known as phytoestrogens, plant-derived compounds mimicking estrogen within the male physique. And two of the most significant antagonists in this narrative are likely present in your home right now. The first is flaxseed. Yes, that tiny seed celebrated globally as a superfood. For women, it indeed offers genuine benefits. But for men over 60 years of age, the hidden truth reveals a different story. Flaxseed boasts the highest concentration of phytoestrogens of any known food. Consumed in excess, it can suppress testosterone, thereby creating a hormonal environment that precisely favors the type of imbalance detrimental to the prostate. The second is even more startling and far more common: beer. Hops, an essential ingredient in beer production, stands as a potent source of natural synthetic estrogen. Daily consumption accumulates this female hormone progressively within the male organism, contributing to increased abdominal fat, a noticeable drop in vitality, and the weakening of the very gland we've been discussing from the outset. The impact doesn't surface abruptly. Instead, it unfolds slowly, silently, weaving itself into the background as an individual remains convinced of their normal decisions. A comment here, perhaps: I had never considered this before. Now, let's turn our attention to something that could very well be the most crucial point in this entire discussion. Something involving an examination most men have either undergone or will face at some juncture in their lives. an examination carrying a concealed truth that very few doctors possess the time, courage, or genuine interest to fully explain within a typical consultation room. This refers to PSA, prostate-specific antigen, that specific figure appearing on a blood test result, capable of upending a man's entire life within mere minutes. One receives the result, notices a slightly elevated number, and what transpires? A sudden surge grips the heart. The mind swiftly begins to conjure potential scenarios, and the terrifying journey of fear commences. But here is the revelation no one articulates with clarity. An isolated PSA reading tells almost nothing. It functions as an inflammatory marker, not an exclusive indicator of cancer. A urinary tract infection, an enlarged prostate, even sexual activity within the 48 hours preceding the test can elevate this number. The PSA value fluctuates for dozens of reasons, and making drastic decisions based solely on it remains one of the most common and indeed most perilous errors a man can commit. Now comes the segment that genuinely shifts the perspective of anyone who grasps the science underlying this data. Robust studies consistently show that approximately 80% of men over 70 years old possess some form of microscopic prostate cancer within their system. 80%. This isn't an alarming statistic. It is, in fact, a profoundly liberating one once you comprehend the full context. Because in 97% of these cases, this cancer will never cause a single symptom, will never spread, and will never diminish a single day of that man's quality of life. It simply exists, dormant, kept in check by the body's own immune system. The actual trouble begins when aggressive screening enters the picture, lacking proper criteria. A slightly elevated PSA figure then triggers a biopsy. That biopsy, in turn, uncovers atypical cells. And these atypical cells lead directly to surgery. A surgery, mind you, performed to address an issue that would never have caused harm, yet often results in permanent urinary incontinence and sexual impotence. This is the real impact, lurking in the shadows of statistics, rarely surfacing in conversations about men's health. This is not to suggest PSA is without merit. Rather, it demands intelligent interpretation, and the secret lies in a relationship few patients are aware of, and even fewer doctors spontaneously explain: the ratio between free PSA and total PSA. When free PSA represents a larger percentage relative to total PSA, the probability of an aggressive cancer drops significantly. It is this precise relationship that offers the true context, transforming a solitary number into information with genuine clinical meaning. The decision to treat or merely monitor should be constructed upon comprehensive data, not on a single number plucked from context. And this is a conversation one must actively initiate with their physician, requesting, questioning, demanding more information before accepting any invasive procedure. Understanding this isn't about distrusting medicine. It is about actively and consciously participating in one's own health journey. It transforms fear into knowledge, and knowledge into safer decisions. And the encouraging news is that nature not only created the challenges, it also concealed the solutions in simple, accessible places, often within your very home, without your knowing the true value of what you hold. Let's start with watermelon. This fruit, which appears merely refreshing, hides one of the most thoroughly studied compounds for prostate health: lycopene. This vibrant red pigment is a powerful antioxidant, acting directly to protect prostate cells against oxidative damage. And pomegranate, often overlooked by many due to its less common daily presence, carries compounds that research has linked to reducing the growth of abnormal cells and improving the symptoms of an enlarged prostate, that urinary discomfort that significantly impacts the quality of life for so many men. But there exists one food few place on their radar, yet it deserves a permanent spot in your routine: pumpkin seeds. They are among the densest sources of zinc and beta-sitosterol available, two substances consistently proven to reduce prostatic inflammation and improve urinary flow. And speaking of zinc, Its deficiency is directly connected to an increased risk of prostate issues and a brutal decline in male vitality. Magnesium enters this equation as an essential partner, regulating inflammatory processes that affect overall hormonal health. This is the very transformation that truly begins on the plate, long before any supplement, well ahead of any treatment. If you've reached this point, you are no longer the same individual who pressed play. And that is no small feat. Most people spend years living with incomplete information, believing they are doing what is right, while invisible habits work against their own health day after day. You chose to understand more deeply. This, in itself, is a transformation. This channel exists precisely for this purpose: to unveil truths that linger behind the scenes of conventional medicine, making a real difference in the lives of those who listen. If this content resonated with you, it makes sense to remain here. Consider subscribing. There's no commitment, simply more content like this, delivered with the same depth and unwavering honesty. And if this video touched you in some way, a comment below, perhaps with the phrase, "This message was for me," serves as a straightforward indicator that this conversation reached its intended destination. A like on the video also provides significant support. Not as an obligation, but because it's the specific signal the algorithm interprets, ensuring this type of content reaches more individuals who truly need it. And before departing, a video positioned right beside this one perfectly complements our discussion today. Click through and continue this journey there. The path is merely unfolding.